So I just did a poll in my channel memberships and I asked my members what they wanted to see a first impressions on. First, the new Tom Ford Ombre Leather Parfum or Lacoste Match Point Eau de Parfum. And well, it was a tie. So we're gonna go ahead and tackle Ombre Leather Parfum here on the channel. Gonna open this one up, give you my first impressions, tell you how it smells compared to the original, and if I think this is gonna be one that's worth picking up, and if it's a nice solid improvement over the original. I'm gonna be doing a video on Match Point Eau de Parfum here within the next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And if you wanna get access to some bonus content and also have the ability to vote on polls on which one you wanna see me cover first when I get some new stuff in, make sure you join up to the channel memberships. That will be linked down below, or hit the join button next to the subscribe button. So here it is in all of its glory, Tom Ford Ombre Leather Parfum. So let's take a look at the different bottles here. So this one still has the kind of leather feel on the front, just like the original has. So it's got like a leathery texture. Same thing going here, except it is white this time. Instead, you can see that also says Parfum right there. Now, this may be hard to show up on camera, but the Parfum bottle has a slightly roughed up looking surface, and this is probably not going to show up, but basically the original is pretty much a matte black all the way through. The Parfum has just a little bit of a roughed up texture, giving it a slight white tinge, which kind of matches everything going on in the front. So the bottles aren't exactly the same. They are pretty close, but there are a few small differences. Up top, the Tom Ford logo initials is in white, whereas on the original, it is not. So just some subtle differences here and there, just to kind of distinguish the two, which is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of this presentation, and I like this one as well. I have to admit, I wasn't expecting to see a Parfum flanker of this one. Not in any time at all, much less this soon. I guess it did come out in 2018, but you know, kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Nonetheless, I am excited to try this one out. So let's go ahead and get this one on skin and see. This is available now, so you can get it online at retailers if you want to pick one up for yourself. And I will actually link it down below where you can get a little bit of a discount on this one if you use a certain coupon code, which again, I will have all that information in the description. So on skin, right up top, very much smells like the original Ombre Leather. What I will say is, oddly enough, I'm almost getting a bit more of that fresh floral type of feel in here, where it is in the original, but in this one it's coming through a little bit stronger, a little bit more pronounced in the opening. And here's what is really interesting, and here is what I really like about this so far. The violet leaf note is back. So we'll just go ahead and go over the note breakdown. Up top we have violet leaf and cedar wood, so cedar wood as a top note, which is pretty cool. In the mid we have jasmine and orris. In the base we have leather, woody notes, tobacco. So what I mean by the violet leaf is back, if you notice, in the original Ombre Leather, if you look at the note breakdown, there's no violet leaf. But in Ombre Leather 16, which is the private blend version, which is where this DNA came about, that used violet leaf to achieve this kind of fresh balance in the opening. They weren't using it here, they were using that jasmine note. And while this one does a great job of replicating Ombre Leather 16, there's always a small part of me that wishes it had that violet leaf note. It's not a huge deal, it's not a huge difference, but you can pick up on it, and I'm picking up on it here, and it reminds me a lot more of just the original Ombre Leather 16. So you get that violet leaf, it gives it kind of a almost an ozonic, fresh type of cooling smell. You get a little bit of the jasmine, and of course the leather comes through immediately. Nothing going on here in terms of the iris yet, but I would imagine as we work into the mid that may start to come through. One thing I do find is that I'm picking up on a lot of the woods. So the cedar wood, the woody notes, it's coming through. It's giving it a bit more of a kind of rough texture, which is kind of ironic. The way the bottle has this bit of a textured feel to it, and of course it is a Parfum. I find that the scent itself has a bit more of a kind of a rougher around the edges type of smell to it. Not in a way that it's unnatural or low quality, but just kind of like they took the surface of ombre leather, you know, kind of this re-release here, they just kind of roughed it up with some sandpaper. They threw in some other harsher, kind of stronger notes, being the woody notes in here and the tobacco as well. And they just kind of made it a bit more masculine, slightly animalic in a way from the leather here. And I like that they're doing that here with this one. That's something that I really enjoy when it comes to flankers of scents. Of course, it's always cool to have like an Eau Fraiche or a cologne version or something like that, but for them to really go ahead and make a parfum and just make it more extreme and really amp it up, I always enjoy that, and they did a nice job here so far. Again, you know, when I think about ombre leather, I don't necessarily think in my head that we need a parfum of this, you know. That was the last thing I was thinking about, or, you know, the last thing I was expecting from a new Tom Ford scent. I figured it's just going to be another signature addition or into their signature line or something along those lines, or, you know, like the new Private Blend that just came out. I wasn't really expecting a parfum of this. That's not to say that I'm not happy with it, because I am. I like that they went ahead and did this, and they threw in that tobacco, they amped up the woods, and of course they brought back that awesome violet leaf note, giving it a nice ozonic, kind of fresh, semi-watery feel. A really nice balance. And this one here, it needs the balance, because with all those woods and the tobacco and the leather going on, it's pretty strong stuff. It's not quite to the extreme as Tuscan leather, but it definitely does go in that direction a bit more than the original here. So for some of you, this is going to be a really solid release and you're going to dig it. For others of you, maybe not so much. If you weren't a fan of the original ombre leather, if it was too much leather, if it just wasn't your style, you're probably not going to like this, because it goes even more in that direction. But if you were a really big fan of ombre leather and just leather fragrances in general, and you even like Tuscan leather, I think you're going to be really excited when you try the Parfum, because I really wasn't for sure what to expect here. Again, I wasn't expecting to see a Parfum. I didn't think we needed it, but now that I've smelled this, I'm glad we have it. The longer it sits here on my skin, the more the woods are coming through and the more the tobacco is starting to shine through as well. If you really dig in and smell, you maybe get just a touch of a iris floral, but it's not very much. I gotta say, I'm really enjoying this one. I'm really excited about it. While this may not be exciting for everyone, because most people probably would be perfectly content with the original here, for me and for a lot of other fragrance enthusiasts, you know, we're gonna smell this and think it's just an even more amped up, more interesting, a bit more challenging version of the original, and that's always fun. On Fragrantica, this one's getting compared to things like Tuscan Leather Intense, and I do agree there. You know, it definitely goes more in that direction, whereas the original Ombre Leather and Ombre Leather 16 were always kind of a fresher, more wearable counterpart on that. This is still going to be generally more wearable and more mass-pleasing than Tuscan Leather, but it does go a step in that direction. So, you know, it's not fully bridging the gap, but it gets you a little bit closer to the animalic extreme leather that one puts off. But don't worry about it, it's still not going to be too overboard for you. I think this one's going to be a really solid compliment getter, just like the original. Performance is something that we're going to have to look into. As it sits right now, it's doing great. You know, 10 minutes into the video, I hope it would last this long. And of course, you know, I'll come back probably this fall with a full review. It's pushing off of my skin pretty good. While I do bring it up to my nose to smell it, I don't have to. I mean, from where my hand is right here, I can smell it. I can tell that this is going to hang in the air. I could just tell that's really going to stick around and leave a nice trail, which is pretty cool. And that's kind of what you would expect from a Parfum. Parfum concentrated scents are always going to be a bit more heavy, a bit more dense. And while they may not have the projection distance of like an eau de toilette or even an eau de parfum or an eau de cologne, if you're really going down the list there, it does have a tendency to just hang, where, you know, lower concentration EDTs will project out but then be gone after you walk through. Higher concentrations, depending on the scent of course, generally won't push as far, but if you do a circle around the room, that stuff's going to be hanging in there for quite a while. It's just heavy, rich, and dense, and I think that's going to be the situation with this one. Of course, in typical Fragrantica fashion, there's already votes on the performance saying that it is like a skin scent or whatever, saying that it doesn't last very long. I don't find that to be the case here. I highly doubt it would be. I think it's going to have really good longevity, even better than the original, and the original is already really good. And again, everything I said about the projection hang time there, I think is probably going to be more likely than not the case with that. It's a bit too hot outside to start wearing this one right now, so as soon as we get some cooler weather, I'll have a review out this fall, and it'll be perfect for fall and winter time. I can't wait. I'm very happy with this stuff. I'm excited about this one. It smells great. Just as a final assessment before I get out of here, the jasmine's coming through a bit more now as it's settled down even more. Again, this is about 12 minutes into the video before I edit this out and make it a little bit shorter. About 12 minutes on skin. Bit more jasmine, still strong leather, still strong cedar wood, woody notes in general. Still get some of that tobacco kind of roughing it up in the base. Still get a little bit of that violet leaf cool freshness. So it still does balance out to something that's very wearable, very tolerable here. It doesn't go straight up animalic leather and dry woody or something that's going to off-put people. It's staying pretty balanced. I think that's going to do it for me, guys. That is my first impressions on Ombre Leather Parfum. If you guys want to check this one out and get a little bit of a discount, I will have it linked down below for you along with that code that you can use. I'm not affiliated with this coupon code or anything like that. It's just on their website, and as of right now, that's going to be the only way you're going to be able to grab this one at a discount. Also, like I said in the beginning, if you want bonus content, access to a private Discord group chat, the ability to vote in polls, and all that sort of stuff, check out my channel memberships and you can get access to all of that. I'm also doing extra giveaways over there as well. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.